There is a scene. You even remember how old you were.
Maybe it was a competition, maybe a report card, maybe just a regular moment when you came home and said, I did something today, and you looked, you waited for those 2 words. They never came. Maybe they said something else. Maybe they said nothing at all. Maybe they changed the subject. Maybe they just nodded and moved on. And in that moment, without even realizing it, you made a very quiet decision. Don't expect it again. But you did. You always did. And if you're watching this video right now, you're probably still waiting.
Today, I'm going to ask you this. Why do those 2 words matter so much? And never hearing them, what did it actually leave in you? The answer is in a much deeper place than you think. And today, we're going there.
People probably told you this. Get over it. They did the best they could. Why are you still carrying this? And you told yourself the same things over and over, but it didn't pass. Because this wasn't just an absence. This was the most fundamental question your brain ever asked about itself, left without an answer. And the brain doesn't close unanswered questions. It keeps them open forever. What is that question? And why did you start asking it in the first place? To understand this, I need to take you to a very specific moment. Let's continue. Imagine this. You are 8 years old. A school competition. You worked on it for months. You walked out on that stage. You gave everything you had. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe it was perfect. It doesn't matter. It's over. The audience is clapping. Your eyes scan the stands. You're looking for them. You find them. Your father is looking at his phone. Your mother is talking to the person beside her. They're not watching. The stage lights are still on you. The applause is still going, but you are frozen because you didn't prepare for this moment. You prepared for that one, for that look, for that smile, for those 2 words, and they never came. On the way home, someone says something. Maybe, good job. Maybe, what's next? Maybe nothing at all. And that night, lying in bed, you feel something very strange. Even though you won, empty. What is that emptiness? That emptiness is not a coincidence. In that moment, your brain was looking for something very specific, and it couldn't find it. What is that thing, and why is it so critical? I'm going to explain it exactly right now. In psychology, this is called the need for mirroring. John Bowlby's attachment theory says this: a child comes to exist by seeing themselves in their parents' eyes. In other words, the child gets the first answers to, who am I? Am I valuable? Am I enough? From the outside, specifically from their mother and father. When a parent says, I'm proud of you, they are telling the child this: I see you, you are valuable, your existence is enough. These 3 messages, these 3 sentences, form the foundation of the child's self-worth. And when these messages don't come, the child leaves those questions unanswered inside. Am I enough? And that question, that one question, grows with the child. It goes to school, it goes to university, it goes to work, it enters relationships, it never leaves. You are 14 years old. You bring home your report card. Everything is good. 1 is perfect. You put it on the table. Your father looks at it. Silence. Then his finger goes to the 1 low grade. How did this happen? Just that. And while you're trying to explain that grade, while you're on the defensive, something inside you takes a very quiet but very clear note. Success is not enough. I need to be perfect. And even if I'm perfect, I might still not be enough. And in that moment, a very dangerous connection forms in your brain between love and performance. How does this connection carry into adult life, and why does it leave such a deep mark? Let's continue. The brain builds a very clear equation early in life. If I succeed, I am seen. If I am seen, I am loved. This equation works for survival in childhood. It looks like the path to earning a parent's approval. But in adulthood, this equation becomes a very heavy burden, because someone who grows up with this equation does this. They chase success endlessly. But after every achievement, that emptiness comes back, because the approval they're looking for is no longer outside. It's frozen somewhere inside, still waiting. Psychologists call this conditional self-worth, meaning the person constantly looks for external approval when assessing their own value, in their career, in relationships, on social media. The question, am I enough, never ends. And the most painful thing is this: you never chose to ask that question. It was taught to you. You are 30 years old. You got a big promotion. You worked months for this. The first person you call is your mother or your father. You tell them. Silence. Then one of them says, "Good." Then they move on to another subject. And as you hang up the phone, you realize you were still waiting. 30 years old, with a promotion, having achieved, and you were still waiting for those 2 words. They never came again. And this is the most critical moment, still waiting at 30. That is not weakness, but you need to see what that waiting has been costing you, because the price you're paying is much greater than you think. Let's continue. When this wound is carried unhealed, it leaves very quiet, but very deep damage. First, constantly seeking approval in relationships, from your partner, from your friends, from your colleagues. The question, "Am I enough?" seeps into relationships, and this seeping gradually exhausts the relationship. The person across from you reaches a point of feeling, "No matter how much I approve, it's never enough," and you can't understand why. Second, the inability to celebrate success. Every time you reach a goal, you move straight to the next one. You can't stop. Stopping makes you feel that emptiness, so you need to keep moving. But this movement doesn't nourish you, it drains you. Third, hypersensitivity to criticism. Even a small criticism wakes up that old question, "I'm not enough," and this reaction looks disproportionate, but it's actually touching a very old wound. And the greatest damage is this: even if someone says, "I'm proud of you" now, you don't believe it, because inside that child is still waiting, and nothing coming from the outside can reach them. Picture a work meeting. You gave your presentation. Everyone reacted positively. One person made a small criticism. The meeting ended. Everyone dispersed. And that night, you only think about that one criticism. All the positive reactions are gone. Just that one sentence. Why? Because the brain isn't looking for approval. It's looking for the absence of it. Because absence is familiar. Absence feels like home. But I need to say this. Growing up with this absence developed certain things in you. Real things. First, work capacity. The discipline you developed to earn that approval is real, and it has taken you very far in life. Second, empathy. You know what it feels like to not be seen. That's why you are much more careful about seeing others. People feel valuable around you. This is a rare skill. Third, depth. You are not satisfied with surface-level approval. You look for real connection. You look for real meaning. This doesn't make you ordinary. This makes you deep. But now I'm going to tell you the most important thing. Waiting for that approval from them is no longer serving you. And finding that approval inside yourself is possible. But first, you need to understand something. Last 2 minutes. Picture a night. You're looking at an old photograph. You are small. You're smiling, but your eyes are different. You look at that child, and maybe for the first time you see this. That child was enough. That day, on that stage, on that report card, in every success, in every failure, always enough. The problem was with those who couldn't see it. And I want you to know this too. They couldn't show what they couldn't see. Maybe no one had ever shown them either. Maybe they had never heard those 2 words themselves. This doesn't make them right, but it can set you free, because when you realize this, everything changes. You deserved that approval. You always deserved it. And those who didn't give it to you, they couldn't change that truth. They just couldn't see it. Now I want to ask you something. You're still asking, "Am I enough?" Every day. Do you realize that? Maybe it's time to realize this. They taught you that question, but they were the ones who were supposed to give you the answer. And they didn't. That is their failure now, not yours. The answer was already there. You were enough. You always were. And the most important step is this: stopping the wait to hear it from their lips. Still in your head, but it no longer has to run you. Social media made this wound much more complex. Likes, comments, followers, all of them are digital versions of external approval. And for someone who grew up never hearing "I'm proud of you," social media is a very dangerous place, because it looks like an endless source of approval that will fill that emptiness. But it doesn't. It never does. Because the problem isn't outside. It's inside. And the emptiness inside, nothing coming from the outside can close it. The eyes that couldn't see you do not mean you were invisible.